Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Feminine Rising podcast. My name is Amber Moreno. If you are new, welcome. And in today's topic, I wanted to continue on something that I started talking about in the last podcast. If you haven't heard it yet, it's called Money Over Service. And in that podcast, I was talking about how we are really moving into this age of individualism and really stepping out of this old tribal and collective type of mentality and I don't know what the proper word is, but just this behavior that we have, right? And we're really moving into this individual type of behavior and health and just overall healing. And I think it's a really beautiful thing. However, a lot of people don't fully understand it. So I kind of wanted to touch base and just share the knowledge that I have about it and just where I see the world going. Obviously, what I say in this podcast doesn't deem it factual, but it is, in my opinions, what I see because I'm the type of person that is on the rooftop right now. So I'm really stepping back. And yes, we will be diving into human design just a little bit to navigate the waters here a little bit. So when I talk about the age of individualism, I'm talking about human design. So I can't remember the name of the current cross we're in. I'm not a human design expert. I'm not even going to pretend like I am. And there's one thing that you know about me if you've been following me over on Instagram, which is at Amber. Ugh, I can't talk. Sorry. Which is at I am Amber Moreno. Over on IG, I mention a lot about how I'm not the expert. I don't know everything, but I like to keep things real. So I'm going to share what I know. And so it has a lot to do like in astrology too, right? Like we're moving out of the era of Pisces and into the era of Aquarius. We've been in Aquarius for a little bit now, but things are starting to amp up and they're just going to keep going as we keep progressing. And you can look at the human design side of things, which is a little bit more analytical than the astrology side of things, but together they create this beautiful tapestry that is this life that we live. And so, where we're headed right now is away from this collective tribal energy and really into this individual type of healing movement, energy, and just really focusing in on who we are. And the reason for that is because we're starting to wake up and realize that God is within us. And this all has to do leading back to this. You can look at any religion you want, it all leads back to the Gnosticism. Religion has taken a lot away from us, they have put controls onto us. Now, I understand there are other religions out there that are better than others. I don't care. They're all for control at some point. Doesn't make them all wrong. It doesn't make them all correct either. I believe altogether they create a story, but as focusing in on one doesn't make each of them correct. So with that, they really have taught us that God is outside of us, right? Like we pray to these deities and all of these things. And now I work with deities myself, right? We all do in some form. If you ever call on Jesus, you're working with a deity. If you've ever called on Buddha, that's a deity. You know what I mean? So there's all these different types of entities and deities that we can work with, but we've really learned that they're outside of us, which is not true because what happens when we work with them? What do you do exactly? We go within, right? We meditate, and that's how we call in our ancestors, our guides, and all of these individual deities and entities that we work with. So, right there, religion has it incorrect. And the reason for that is because if there is no aspect of control, the churches do not exist, temples do not exist. They need you to believe in external to keep you limited and capped. Because if they let you keep going, there's no need for the priest and the pastor and whoever, what is it, Holy Krishnas, whatever. There's no middle person now that takes away the power from the church. Can't have that. But the good thing is we're stepping away from that mindset, which is leaving that tribal, leaving that collective. Now, that's only one aspect of it, obviously. There's like so much more in depth and like different things that are breaking down. Religion is just one of those big ones. But I believe I will see it start to crumble in my lifetime. I don't think I will see it completely tear down, but I believe I will see it start to crumble, which is beautiful. It's taking it to the man. Coming back to the human design aspect of it, though, this is an individual thing. So in past times, there was no projectors. Okay. Projectors started showing up, I'd say, maybe 700 years ago. So we're still fairly new into the ball game here. However, we're here to fuck shit up, okay? And this has to do with entering into the cross of planning. I don't know what cross we're in. I can't remember. I'm not going to pretend like I know it, okay? But we're changing gears. The shift officially happens in 2027, which is why a lot of things are going to start to change too. On a global scale, behind the scenes, outside of the veils that we are shown, there's a lot happening behind the scenes. I don't know how like money is going to handle. I don't know if we're going to be going to a one world currency, if things are going to stay the same, or maybe we all go to digital currency because money's not real anyway, by the way, which is why it's named after water because it's fluidity. It's just a feeling, it's an energy, it's something to be exchanged. That's it, right? We're switching, like a lot of things are going to change, and we're switching into this, into that, possibly. Now, as far as humanity as a whole, though, we're going to be going individualized. And this is where I really wanted to talk about. And I had to preface with the church because the church has a lot of sway on this. We have free will. That's the other thing. And I know a lot of souls come down here to learn things like Christianity. I definitely did. I had to learn about it because I needed to learn the lies through it so I can see what the truth was to sift it out. So now going forward, I know what I'm speaking is my truth. It is the truth, right? It's not this falsity truth that was handed to me like, here you go, start preaching this out like I used to do. There's no more of that. It's ownership of the individual. We cannot go, oh, well, this is what we believe. Here's my collective group. No. What do you believe? What do you see? What is up in here? That's the things that I foresee really happening. And that's where we're headed. And that's my story. Like I'm an individual. I have no collective channels in my system. It's just not there. I have Hanging Gate, which is kind of a collective channel, but it doesn't connect because that's not where we're headed. I'm here to kind of lead the individual way. Now, people who are not emotionally stable are going to call you selfish. People who are not emotionally mature are going to call you bigots and all kinds of names because they don't understand. And that's just them sitting in their victim chair. It happens. Three chairs, if you know what I'm talking about, victim chair, right? Persecuted chair, the hero. I don't have time for switching into the victim chairs these days. So just know that when you're working on yourself, people will always call you a name behind your back, maybe not always to your face. So you have to really just stay focused on you. And this is really where you still have to believe in something bigger than you, right? You have to believe in something. I believe that we each carry God inside of us, source, if you want to call it, the universe, whatever, but that is what's inside of each of us. And inside of me is my highest self that is a fractal of that bigger light, that God, that universe, that huge creator, right? Could be the sun for all I know. I have no idea, right? But the beauty of this is we are individuals. So through each person that carries that light, which we all carry this light, unless there's you got a really bad entity attachment or something, but we all carry this light. And all we're doing is shining that God light. So this is the individual. Now, in the past, it would be like, I like to look at it as like different colors, right? Like each of us has a different color. No color is the same. Maybe we might be like the same hue, but no color is the same. Like we're all different tones and shades. And it's a beautiful thing that we're creating here. Now, in the past, it was like, here's a group of red, here's a group of orange, here's a group of yellow, etc. Right? And you were just within that, within those colors. Maybe over time, those simple blue colors started to create light blues and dark blues and navies and indigos, and then the red started creating like pinks and soft baby pinks and deep blood reds and rust colors and just all these different beautiful colors over time. And then as it keeps going, it keeps getting more and more and more and more and more individualized to now no color looks exactly the same. Maybe it was once a shade of red, but it is a totally different color now. And that is how I see individuals in this lifetime. We're no longer in this tribe. I think for the older generation, it's a lot harder for them to understand it, meaning like Gen Xers and bo- boomers and them, because they were in a time where this was still very much pushed onto them and intact. They were, whoever was trying to control this, whether it was the churches or if, I don't know what you believe, George Soros or whoever, I don't freaking know, reptilians, whatever you believe in is trying to control and change that for the worst. They were trying really hard during that time. This is why industry happened, right? We had to hurry up and speed things up and progress to where we needed to be now because they knew that this was coming. Here we are. We're here now. Things are going to change. But that's what's so beautiful, though, about it, right? Because we're all these different colors reflecting back a different color to that individual, but we all hold those colors within. So there's no more of this separation. This is why a lot of these old things are breaking apart. And when I was saying like the older generations are having a harder time with it, I've seen it. A perfect example is like with nuclear family, right? The nuclear family can still exist. I still believe monogamy is a thing. I still believe that, men and women are meant to unite together and be in pairs and, whatever that looks like, masculine and feminine energy. That's what I mean by man and woman. Um, sorry, I should have worded that better. But with the masculine and the feminine energy and intertwining and creating, right? And then procreation. That's what humans are here to do, procreate. But we're also coming into such an individual world to not everybody needs to procreate. In the past, we were pushed to do that, but we were also in a war where people needed to repopulate the earth. We're not in those situations anymore. So, knowing that that traditional nuclear family is now slowly changing. And so, like with my in laws, it's always very interesting to kind of watch that family dynamic because my brother in law, they have a child now. They're raising their child how they deem fit. They're doing their very best. And it's however they want to do their life. They're allowed to do what they want to do. I think they're doing a great job. Not that that matters, but you know what I mean? It's nothing to be alarmed about. My mother in law is having a hard time with it because she doesn't fully agree with how they're making their decisions for their child. I feel like this happens all the time, right? But if that's happened to you or you've witnessed it, you know that this is part of the breaking down of that family. There's no more of this, oh, we like need the whole family units together, right? Where mom, dad, grandma, grandpa, brother, sister, cousins were all living in the same lot. Like that's times past. We don't need to do that anymore. It can be very individualized. We can rely more on the individual souls that we signed up for in our communities to help us and to teach us to learn. We're interconnected through this screen, which is another whole thing that I didn't ever see happening. Not gonna lie, I think a lot of us didn't, but here we are and it's a beautiful thing. So it really changes the family dynamic and it can be difficult for, like I said, for older generations that are having to adjust to that because a lot of people are having kids later. I don't have kids yet. I'm 35. I'm in the over 35 club, like just barely got my foot in there. But you know what I mean? Like I might not have a child until closer to 40. I don't know. But my point is that we're all having kids a lot later and some of us not at all. So it comes back to the individual and what's the individual? What did they sign up for? What is their mission here? What do they need to heal? What do they need to show others and do? And how do we change the collective in that realm versus everybody needs to be doing the same thing or nothing's going to change? That's an old mindset. We don't need to think like that anymore. I'm pretty sure that's what Hitler used to do, right? Hold on. Cacao sip time break for those of you listening. Thank you. But I'm not calling anyone Hitler, by the way. I was just making a reference. But you kind of see where I'm coming from. So there's a lot changing and happening. I think it's great. I'm all for it, but I'm also an individual and I also can feel for those that are struggling with it and don't want to let go of these old ideas. But what the beauty of it is that we signed up for this exact moment, whether we like it or not. And I think it's great that I signed up for sorry, that I signed up for this particular era of time to experience it, especially as a woman when we have so many rights now in this country in America. It's beautiful. Like I get to have my own bank account that my husband's using. I think it's great now. It's a joint account now, but you know what I mean? Like women less than 100 years ago couldn't say that. Women didn't have bank accounts until the 30s. That's that's a generational thing right there. I should talk about that in the last podcast. But anyways, I'm talking about the money over service one in case you haven't listened to it yet. Um, but yeah, it's a beautiful time to be alive, and we need to be appreciative for that, and just be flexible with whatever happens, happens, and you know, it's all beautiful within its own thing. And I think the biggest thing to make the transition easier for all of us is really stepping out of this collective tribal mentality and really focusing in on the individual. And if that looks like co parenting with people, then that's what it is. If that looks like, staying in a monogamous nuclear family, then that's what it is. The cool part is we have free will and we can do whatever we want to do. There's no right or wrong way to live. I think we need to own that and just honor that. You know, if you want to do long distance and like maybe you and your husband have two homes, maybe he lives in the south of America, for 6 months out of the year while you're out in Europe somewhere with your child. I don't know. But that if that's your life, that's normal. Who cares? Who's to say that it's not? It can look as far outlandish as you want it to be. And it doesn't matter because as long as it feels good and it's in alignment with you and those parties involved, who cares? That's my theory. And it's a beautiful thing. I think it's great. Like watching humans as a projector and being a human is trippy, let me tell you. But anyways, thank you so much for listening. If you made it this far, I do appreciate it so much. Make sure you give me a follow over on Instagram. I post pretty regularly over there. I also am on TikTok now. I've been on TikTok for a little bit. I talk about different things on my TikTok though. It's all related but because TikTok's its own beast. Like I said, I'm in the 35 and older club. I feel like I'm too old to be on TikTok, but I'm on TikTok. So anyways, I love you guys so much and I will see you when I see you.